CoreProve Part 4. Here we're going to look at delegated address. So what is a delegated address? In a wallet, you have a seed phrase, and that seed phrase gives you access to more than just one address. In the CoreProve wallet, there's a section for manage delegated agents, and this is where the wallet actually creates the delegated addresses and assigns them to the client in this case. So when the client comes online, it registers with the wallet, it's given a delegated address, and it uses that to execute upon. Although anytime it executes, it has to get the signature from the wallet. But this gives you another address, which is not the root address, which can also be funded and execute transactions in this system. Okay, so how does this work in terms of using a delegated agent? For the current CoreProve implementation, if your delegated agent is funded and there's a transaction that comes in, then that transaction will use the delegated address. And so let's take a look at what that means. And basically this will become the source of the buyer address on chain. So if I want to execute a transaction, but I don't want it to show up with my core wallet address, which would give a merchant or anyone looking, a third party, access to my financial history on chain. So here in this case, 5861 is the root wallet. So I don't want to share this root wallet because this is where I keep all my funds, and I may not want everyone looking at my financial transaction history forever. So in this architecture, I can use a delegated address, which is not my root, for transactions, and that will then protect my root wallet from being viewed by external parties, keeping my root wallet confidential. Okay, so let's look at a transaction where this delegated address does not have any funding. And we've looked at this before, but we're going to look at the same exact flow. I'll clear out these messages so we can see what's going on. So here we have an approval. We approve it. Payment gets submitted. Gas gets paid. And in a moment, we'll have a transaction with a transaction hash. And we're going to pop out and look at the transaction hash so we can see what's been captured on chain. So in this transaction, we see a to and a from address. And notice that neither one of these are the root wallet or the delegation wallet. From a signaling perspective, what we're looking at here is the transaction between the gateway and the blockchain. And here we have the first address, which is the gateway address, which is the transaction border controller, and then another address, which is the gas station address, so the gas relay address. These two addresses are handling the signaling and the permits before any funds are moved. But these are the two actors of the transaction, where the transactions are signaled to and from. But again, notice neither one of these are the user or the merchant's wallet address, keeping the merchant and the user's information confidential. Now, if you notice where the tokens are transferred from and to, this is the root wallet address, and this is the merchant's settlement address. So this is great for the merchant, but here the user's address is on chain, and so it can be viewed and their financial history can be seen. The delegate, if this is, once the delegate is funded, with the CoreProve system, that becomes the tokens, the from address. And by putting that in the from address, it now completely obfuscates or keeps confidential the user's root wallet. In combination with ZK signatures, that means that the user's signature and their root wallet are protected from being on chain. So let's look at what that looks like. So we're going to fund the delegate address. I'm going to try to speed this up so this video doesn't get too long. Alright. And so I'm going to send this delegate address, which again is signed and owned by this wallet. I'll send it 20 USD. Okay, once that's sent, and it's now sent, I'm going to go back and restart this transaction flow, send this again. Let's clear this out just so it doesn't get too long. And we'll get the transaction. So here in the permit, notice that automatically, just by having funds, the delegate wallet is now the owner of this transaction. Payment gets submitted to the chain. And again, this is sent from the transaction border controller, the firewall, to the gas station relay in terms of signaling. Now the tokens, when they actually move, are moved from the buyer to the escrow account wallet. Oh, I didn't capture that transaction hash from the pop-up. Grab it here. Let's take a look at this new transaction. So again, we have the from and the to, from the transaction border controller, the firewall, to the gas station relay for the amount. But if you notice, no longer do we have our root wallet. We now have the delegate wallet here. And this goes to the settlement address. So now, through the use of the delegation, we have basically removed the user's signature and their wallet address, their root wallet address, from the transaction, finally providing commerce the way it's meant to be.